A young man named Taiju decides to confess his feelings to his childhood friend Yuzuriha. He announces his decision to his best friend Senku, who is at the science lab with other students. Senku dryly encourages him and offers him a love potion to help with his confession. Taiju leaves to go confess to Yuzuriha. After Taiju has left, Senku reveals that the love potion was actually just gasoline, but he knew his friend would never accept the potion, as Taiju would never be so cowardly as to use a love potion. Later, Taiju meets Yuzuriha at a tree and gathers his courage to confess to her. The other students and Senku watch the confession, but soon a bright green light appears on the horizon. The green light covers their town but also covers the world and turns every human being into stone. Disaster strikes at the effects of petrification. The humans all become stone and cannot move, but they are still aware and can think. Years pass and the humans are still stone. Nature begins to take Earth back from the humans as time passes and the world returns to a natural state. During this time, Taiju continues to focus on confessing his love for Yuzuriha until finally, after thousands of years, Taiju breaks out of the stone and he is free. He is shocked to see so many people still trapped in stone and explores the world. He searches for Yuzuriha and finds her still petrified next to her tree, which has grown huge in the thousands of years. He thanks her for giving him the willpower to stay sane after so many years. Next to her, he finds a message telling him to follow the river, and following the message he meets Senku. Taiju is incredibly happy to see Senku, who is not so happy to see his friend without clothes. Senku reveals that he broke out of stone 6 months earlier. Senku, who was counting seconds while all the humans were petrified, has calculated that they have been trapped in stone for about 3,700 years. The two make their way to Senku's treehouse, and Senku states that he needs someone dumb and strong like Taiju to help rebuild civilization. Senku also states that he knew without a doubt that Taiju would break out of his stone after he himself was set free. The two high schoolers begin their work, Senku determined to bring humans back to the modern age and Taiju determined to set Yuzuriha free. As the best friends gather supplies, Taiju wonders if they are the last two humans, but Senku is certain there must be others, as the timing of their freedom was too close together. Senku also makes finding other humans a top priority. Investigating the cave where they became free, Senku reveals that nitric acid from bat guano was the reason they were unpetrified. However, Senku determines that this process will take some time to free living beings from stone and there are other forces at play. Senku plans to use science and experiment over and over to find a way to free the others from stone. One such experiment is to use alcohol, and Taiju suggests they make wine from grapes. The two best friends grow grapes and distill the crushed grapes into wine. The seasons pass as it takes a year for the two friends to make wine. During the year, Taiju continues to visit Yuzuriha. Finally, after 1 year, by combining the distilled wine and nitric from bat droppings, they successfully free a bird from stone. The two friends plan to free Yuzuriha, having proved earlier that their cure should work on humans, as Senku had earlier experimented on a corpse. At the giant tree, Taiju refuses to use the cure as Yuzuriha is naked and he wants to protect her modesty. Taiju begins to take her back to camp, but the two are attacked by a lion. Senku states that with humans gone, the predators from zoos must have grown in number and that the world's natural predators are now the top dog in this world. Taiju hands Yuzuriha to Senku and announces he will be the scientist's shield, but Senku refuses and states they must flee together. The two make their way to Tsukasa, their school's strongest high schooler, for help. They use the cure on Tsukasa and explain the situation, and as the built high schooler breaks free, he attacks and defeats the male lion. As the rest of the lions run away, Tsukasa promises to be their protector. Back at the treehouse, Tsukasa formally introduces himself and with his physical abilities soon becomes in charge of hunting and fighting. While preserving the fish, Tsukasa notices a petrified human underneath a boulder and frees them. Senku states their next goal is to collect calcium carbonate, which the group makes by smashing shells into powder. Senku states that they will use calcium carbonate for improving the soil for farming, creating mortar for construction, making soap from seaweed and oil. Tsukasa expresses his admiration for Senku, but Senku is suspicious of his praise. As they collect seashells, Tsukasa thinks about his past. As a boy, Tsukasa attempted to collect seashells for a necklace for his sister but was stopped by an old man who owned the shore. In revenge, he decapitates the head from the petrified man. Tsukasa wants to create a paradise world of only youths with no concept of ownership and free of adults. Senku disagrees and stops Tsukasa from destroying another petrified adult, stating that he will work to free all the humans. Taiju arrives announcing that the next batch of the cure is ready. The three gather at the tree to prepare to free Yuzuriha, but they do not have enough cure to free her. Senku asks Taiju to go back to the cave to get more cure, but this is actually a trick to get Tsukasa to leave the two best friends alone. Senku states that the two must quickly make more cure. Senku discusses his concern with Taiju, and although Taiju is confused what has happened between Tsukasa and Senku, he trusts his best friend and will stay loyal to Senku. Before Tsukasa returns, the two use the cure on Yuzuriha. The two are reunited and Senku states that either they must run away from Tsukasa, who has gone on a rampage, or to stop him. Taiju and Yuzuriha are determined to stop Tsukasa from killing more people. Taiju leaps into action and Senku is forced to use a crossbow he made in secret. However, Tsukasa blocks the crossbow bolt and Taiju blocks an attack from Tsukasa, surprising him. Taiju claims that he only defends and he will not hit others. He makes an offer to let Tsukasa attack him to spare the world. Tsukasa threatens Yuzuriha and Taiju defends her but passes out. Tsukasa then leaves to kill more petrified adults. Senku decides that the group needs to make weapons before Tsukasa returns and leads the group on an expedition to get materials. As the two navigate the landscape, Yuzuriha spots a clearing where they find the great Buddha statue. Yuzuriha cries in happiness to see the statue as it reminds her of Japan. Senku decides to harvest some bronze from the statue. As they use the cure to free the last of Yuzuriha, whose toe was still petrified, Senku remarks that the cracks on their bodies must be from when they were stoned. Meanwhile, Tsukasa becomes aware of the stakes after seeing through Senku's ruse. Senku and the group eventually reach hot springs and he reveals that they're going to make gunpowder to fight back against Tsukasa. At the hot springs, Yuzuriha asks about the day they were petrified. Taiju states that he wishes to rebuild civilization first before he finishes what he was going to say that day. The next morning, Senku gathers the materials they need for gunpowder: sulfur from the hot spring, charcoal from burnt wood, and potassium nitrate he made ahead of time while they were making the cure. They make gunpowder, which quickly explodes as Taiju uses a boulder with trace iron to pound the ingredients together. They escape the explosion but are happy with their success. Senku states he will use their crude weapon to negotiate with Tsukasa, but Senku privately thinks he may have to kill him. However, the smoke of their explosion is seen by others and Yuzuriha spots a responding smoke signal in the distance. The group are concerned that the smoke from their explosion will bring Tsukasa to them. However, Senku takes a leap of faith that the faraway signal is from other humans and tells the other to relight their smoke signal instead of putting out their fire. Soon they run out of gunpowder and Senku sends Taiju and Yuzuriha to gather wood in the nearby forest. Tsukasa finds Yuzuriha in the forest and she is held hostage. Tsukasa demands to know the recipe of the cure and pretends to not care about Yuzuriha, but Tsukasa cuts her hair. Tsukasa states that he has won as Senku cares about others, but Tsukasa does not care about any individual person. Yuzuriha is willing to sacrifice herself to keep the cure a secret, but Senku reveals the recipe for the cure. Tsukasa promises that he will spare Senku as long as Senku promises that he will abandon science. Senku recalls that at a young age his curiosity and love for science led him to Taiju and Yuzuriha, and the three would embark on experiments together. Therefore, Senku cannot give up science as it is what connected him with best friends. Tsukasa states he will try to give the scientist a merciful death, and as the two rivals face each other, Tsukasa praises Senku's determination to science and his friends. Tsukasa believes that in another life Senku could have been his first friend and the four of them could have gone on adventures together. Senku also wonders at the possibility and states that perhaps they could have been. Taiju arrives to help his friends but is too late as Tsukasa kills Senku. Taiju goes to Senku's body, and Tsukasa is worried that his best friend's death will enrage Taiju and that Tsukasa will be forced to kill the boy. Taiju picks up a boulder and throws it into the air, who watches Taiju closely. However, this distraction is enough for Yuzuriha to throw the last of the gunpowder on Tsukasa, and as the boulder impacts, the powder alights and explodes. Tsukasa realizes that they have used the explosion to escape. As they flee into the forest, Tsukasa is certain that Senku will die since they will not have any modern medicine. As they try to think like Senku, Yuzuriha realizes that Senku was baiting Tsukasa to attack his neck, and they discover part of Senku's neck is still petrified. They use the cure on Senku's neck. Taiju announces they must save him as Senku is their best hope for humankind. We recount to Senku's first days after being released from stone, while counting the seconds spent petrified to keep track of the years that have passed. Senku was also investigating his surroundings, so when becoming free he records the location he was freed at and any other factors that might have helped him become free. He is observed by monkeys who flee, and Senku wonders if he is the first human they have seen. Determined to bring back civilization, Senku creates a fire but finds he lacks the skill of his best friends for fire making and hunting. After some time he moves away from traditional fire making to making stone tools, instead allowing him to make fire and traps for animals. Finally, he makes the treehouse and acquires both food and shelter to survive. Soon Senku finds that the efforts of one person is limiting. He encounters a petrified Taiju in the ground nearby and digs him up. Senku wonders the circumstance of the petrification and wonders if the reason was aliens, a military experiment, or a virus. He also wonders why the petrification only affected humans and swallows. While investigating, a bat flies by and Senku finds the bat guano and sees that the distilled guano freed some of his petrified hair. Excited, he attempts to use the nitric acid on Taiju and other petrified humans but is disappointed with the results. Senku is determined there must be some scientific explanation for his release from the stone and continues to experiment. Later, he drags Taiju into the bat cave, which later frees him. In the present day, Senku is revived after healing from the cure and praises his two friends for noticing his hint about his neck. Senku wonders about the healing that occurs when someone is returned from stone, and he wonders who is responsible for petrifying humanity. Yuzuriha wonders if they use the cure with humans with parts nearby each other, if the healing could help those who have been shattered while in stone. But Senku reveals that he already tried this and the humans came back still dead. Senku asks his two friends to go back to Tsukasa to spy on him and pretend that Senku is still dead. He plans to continue his science in the meantime so that the friends can eventually overthrow Tsukasa. Senku also plans to find the humans that lit the smoke signal they saw when making gunpowder, and the friends part ways. In the forest, Tsukasa detects someone following him and is approached by a young girl named Kohaku who ambushes him. She is skilled and the two exchange blows. She also reveals that she witnessed Tsukasa taking Yuzuriha hostage and killing Senku. Due to the way she talks, Tsukasa realizes that she cannot be a human freed from stone and she must have been naturally born into this born and is a primitive human. Realizing that he could rule over the primitive humans, Tsukasa traps Kohaku and leaves to get the cure from the Batcave. Hearing the fight, Senku arrives and after making sure she will not die right away, constructs a pulley system to lift the tree and frees Kohaku. She is amazed with his ingenuity and introduces herself. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it and I will see you in the next one.